Today we're going to take a look at Ephemeral Exchange again. This time the JSON Editor and Viewer capability that's just been added to the console. So we'll go into the editor and we'll create some data and we'll generate some slides based on that data, some Google Slides based on that data, and we'll probably do some of the spreadsheets as well. And we'll try and do all of that in about 5 minutes. So we're starting off in the Ephemeral Exchange API console. And we'll go to the account section and go in the JSON editor. So it starts off with two sections. On the left hand side we have the editor that we can use to edit or view or change JSON data. And on the right we can manage the keys that we're going to need to be able to read or write this stuff. Now typically you'll be using this in conjunction with an API project that you've made. So you'll already have some keys, but just in case you're starting off here, you can generate the keys in here. So we can choose one of the accounts. Often you've got multiple accounts, and having selected an account you can choose a boss key from here, which is going to be used to generate some keys. So I'm going to just generate some. So here we've got a bunch of keys that we can now use. A writer key is needed to be able to write to the store in the first place. A reader key is for reading from the store, and it's a key that's been authorized to get to a particular data item that's been created with a writer key, and an updater key is required if you want to make changes to that thing in the store. And we'll talk about these two other things later on. So we just got some demo data here. We'll just write that. So what happened there is it created an item ID. And if we wanted to look down and see what the API actually did, it's all this stuff here. You can see that it executed that against the API and it got this response. So that's useful if you're trying to find out how the API actually works. Another useful thing you get here is some links. So if I were to take this reader link and stick it in the browser, then that allows me to access my data directly from the store. Now typically you'd be using that kind of link from your app. So let's get back here. Now what I'm going to do is to create an alias. And in fact this data is going to be all about Sean Connor. We're going to get a few films of his and get some pictures and a little couple of bits of data. We're going to enter it in here. We're going to use that to create some slides from. So my alias is going to be Sean's. The use of an alias is to make things a little bit simpler, because it means you've got a consistent name to refer to a data item by, even if the data item itself changes. So now when I write that and we'll check to see what the API did, you'll see that it created an alias this time. And if we go to the links and we'll copy this link, you'll see that instead of using the item ID, we're now using the alias that we gave for it. So we'll copy that, and there it is. We've accessed it this time by the alias rather than the ID. So I don't want to type in all this data here. Because it would take ages and it's kind of boring. So I'm just going to copy it from another project. I've changed the keys to that of another project, and I'm just going to read that. And there's some data that we're now going to play around with. So let's change a couple of things in here, so just for fun, and we'll update that. So now to recap a little bit, what we've done is to take keys from another project as opposed to ones that we generated at the beginning, and we've read in data that another project has written to the store, and we've changed it and written it back. So now we're going to generate some slides based on this data. So we're going to need the reader key and the alias is all we're going to need. So we'll pick that up and we'll head over to this app I wrote for a previous demo. And we'll just stick in the reader key, and we've got the data ID set up, and we've got the slides template. So we're going to take a quick look at that before we do anything else. Pretty simple. We just have a couple of slides, just a title, and then we want this slide repeated for as many records as there are in the data store. So we've got a few things that we want to fill in: the title, the info, an image, and the year of release. So if you recall, the data had those things in it. So if all goes well, when I run this, I'm going to be creating a new deck based on the data that's in the store. Okay, so it's made a little link for us. Let's take a look. Go into presentation mode. Let's go through it, and there we have it. So since we've got a minute or two left, we may as well get that data into a spreadsheet as well. So we'll pull it from the store, and that's the same data. Let's just change it to some things in here. And I will update that in the store. Go back to the editor, and we'll read. And now we've got the change that we just made back in Sheets. So that's all there is to it for this demo. Hopefully you've seen some of the other demos that bring together some different APIs, again using the store as the method of exchanging data. So if you want to learn more about this kind of thing, how to build these kind of apps, then you might find these videos and books of some use. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.